What an unbelievable weekend it's been for Liverpool. Wow. Just wow. Both Arsenal and City draw, Spurs draw, even Bournemouth drew, Chelsea lost, and Ruben Amorim still has a job. All the while, this team has come nowhere near their best all season, but somehow still have a perfect record. Make it make sense. I never thought I would see the day that Guardiola would commit himself to terror from minute one of a Premier League game. Truly, the student has become the master. It took 5 games, playing versus 10 men, and God only knows how many shots on goal for Manchester United to score only their second open play goal in the Premier League. Bruno Fernandes is now neck and neck with own goal for the club's top scorer. I used to pray for times like this. Hello, hope you're well, welcome back. There were so many massive games in this past Premier League weekend, too many to only talk about one in today's Monday video. I was initially just going to do the Man United-Chelsea game, which was going to come out yesterday, but it is now Monday morning, 8:30, and I'm happy that I held out. I'm in a good mood today, guys. I think this is going to be a good video. We'll start with Arsenal and Man City, which was, I guess, the match of the weekend. It was a very fascinating game, maybe not the most sensational in terms of goals and variety and all that, but there was some really high-level football being played there and some high levels of concentration that were going on. I have some thoughts on Arteta's overall selection, his strategy, and everything all his decision-making going into this game. I don't think that they were very becoming of where Arsenal are right now. I think Arsenal are a much better team than City right now. I don't think anybody is going to really argue with you on that front. They have a lot more cohesion. There's more understanding between the players. I guess it's just time. They've been together for longer. City are slap bang in the middle of a transition. They've just lost, many important players. People have moved on over the last few years, and they're in 2 different places right now. A testament to that is how Guardiola decided to go into this game as primarily a counter-attacking side, right? 33% possession. When was the last time, if ever, we saw that from a Guardiola side? It's unheard of. Regardless, I think reality really should have reflected how much better Arsenal are than City right now, especially playing at home, but it didn't really do that. But we'll touch on that as we go on through the video. Let's get into the game. Arsenal had a very good start. Even in that first 7 minutes, I really appreciated their willingness to play in behind long and play a short game. And this is where I think a lot of people were quite confused by what they were seeing. The first 10 minutes or so, I think City probably, 8 minutes, or so, I think City probably strung less than 10 passes between each other. But they were pressing extremely high. I saw multiple players in Arsenal defensive third really trying to squeeze them out. And this is also where that high quality ball came into play, because those initial passes that Arsenal were playing were very, very precise. Like I said, they started very sharply. But as soon as City managed their very first attack, everything was compromised. Erling Haaland is just a monster. He sets up this attack with a really quick swivel and pass to Reinders, and he's off to the races. It's really ridiculous that a man that big can move that fast. And when he gets into this position, you know that there's only going to be one end result. The season's barely even started and his goal scoring record is just off the charts. What is it now? 13 goals across all competitions. He was stat padding a little bit during the international break, but you didn't hear that from me. Still, the guy's ridiculous. 50 goals and 49 Champions League appearances. Are you mad? Arsenal's entire flow was off after this. And this is where you have to kind of give Guardiola and Man City a bit of credit, despite the fact that they set out to play this negative haram football over here. Their defensive squeeze was really, really impressive, and it was denying Arsenal a lot of opportunities. But that's also because they didn't really have anyone that was there to unlock a defense. I mean, Arteta started off with a midfield of Marino, Rice, and Zubimendi. I'm not sure what kind of creation he was hoping was going to happen, if any at all. I think the answer is that he set out to contain. Perhaps he didn't think that Guardiola was going to come out in the way that he did, and he didn't think that City were going to play so passively, but I think he should have switched sooner. I know that Eze came on in the second half, and we're still going to talk about that, as well as Saka, but it was very, very strange. And speaking of Saka, he came on for Noni Madueke, who I thought was Arsenal's best player in the first half by quite some margin. He was having a lot of joy on the right. He was getting past his man. I believe he was the only Arsenal player that actually tested Gianluigi Donnarumma. I don't think Saka needed to come on. I really don't think that he did any better than Madueke did in that second half at all. And maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. You guys can let me know. Maybe I was watching a different game there. But I don't think that that's a substitution that needed to happen. The only one really that needed to happen was Marino for Eze, because as soon as he came on, yes, you can say when Eze and Saka came on in the second half that the game was changed, but as soon as Eze came on, there was a real shift. In fact, it was because of him that Arsenal equalized, later on the game. It was his incisive ball. That's the ball that Arsenal were looking for throughout the entire first half, throughout the entire game, really. But just to go back to City to talk about some of their star performers that I thought at least did very well, Gianluigi Donnarumma, for the most part, for the majority of the game, was phenomenal. Of course, we're excluding the goal that was conceded where he was kind of in no man's land. But apart from that, a very dominant goalkeeper, a very big man. I particularly enjoyed the way he dealt with Arsenal's set pieces. Their corner routine was more or less nullified. And on that topic, I know I might be rambling a little bit right now, but I don't understand why more teams don't do what Arsenal do with corners. It seems such a simple yet effective technique. You just go behind the players, make them have to worry about where the ball is coming in and where the man is moving, and then you just move in front of the goalkeeper with your big man and cause a little bit of chaos. It seems like a routine that is reproducible by many teams and would be effective too. I don't know, maybe I just have tunnel vision there, but it's a good technique, and Donnarumma did well to nullify it. Apart from the keeper, Jeremy Doku was phenomenal. He's gonna have a fantastic season, isn't he? He must have the best acceleration in the league right now, going from a standing start after a bit of trickery, right? I mean, if not, then he's extremely, very, very high up there, right? Who else compares to him? Could you guys let me know? Because clearly I need to be watching them and watching them very closely. He was also getting fouled quite a lot. If City are going to, continue this style of play, this counter-attacking style, especially against bigger teams, which I don't know, perhaps they will, then Jeremy Doku is going to be very, very important for them. But I'm not sure if they are going to continue this style of play because there are a lot of, extenuating factors right now. They looked exhausted, Man City, after about minute 60. You can tell that this is their third very high-level game of football in, 7 days? In the past 7 days, they've played Man United, Napoli, and Arsenal, which is quite grueling, if you ask me. And finally, for all the grief that I've been giving Arsenal in this video, they just did not give up. They may not have been as incisive as many would have hoped that they would be, but it was a great goal by Martinelli that got them level. Eze with that beautiful pass, and Martinelli able to chip Donnarumma because I'm not sure why he's standing there. Overall, I think this was a fair result. I don't think either team were trying particularly hard to go for those 3 points. City were just trying to protect what they had after taking the lead 8 minutes into the game. Arsenal, they did equalize towards the end, and they had good value for it. But even when the momentum had shifted and there was blood in the water, they didn't really go for the jugular, did they? I think both teams were happy with 1 point. Although part of me does still think that this was a win that City squandered. They had very high quality chances. Over here, for example, very easily Haaland just could have squared it to Foden for a tap and to wrap up the game. Reindeer's shot over here straight at Raya could have gone either direction of him and possibly would have been a goal. City only had about 5 shots versus Arsenal's 12, but the quality of the chances that City had were higher when they were on the counter. Anyway, interesting match. Let's move on to United and Chelsea. They tried. This time, they really, really tried, but despite nearly snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, United found a way to beat 10-men Chelsea. And can I tell you, it's been a very interesting week in the Man United universe. Rashford scored a double on his Barcelona Champions League debut. A brilliant double, by the way. One of those goals was just insane. Powerful, confident. I really hope he keeps it up. There's been a civil war between all United-associated people about whether to keep Ruben Amorim or not. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is pro-Amorim, according to all the media, but I think part of that probably has to do with the, £10 million or so that they need to pay him if they were to sack him early. Every other post is about how Amorim will never change his tactics regardless of anything, which gives little hope of anything here changing. Chelsea are coming off an interesting period, yet to win a game in 3 attempts in September, a draw to Brentford, a loss to Bayern Munich, and now a loss to Man United. Enzo Maresca has done a very good job there at Chelsea, but for all the great business that the club has done, for all the players that they've sold, they seem to have neglected a couple very key positions, I think. Garnacho made a return to Old Trafford, went off to warm up, and was not met with a warm welcome. But his return was not to be, as Robert Sanchez made sure that all of Maresca and Chelsea's prior planning was thrown out the window very early on. From the start of the game, we got shots of Sir Alex Ferguson sitting with Big Sam Allardyce, which I didn't particularly like. I know that they're old friends and all that, but before that game, you would have thought that United were a team that were probably close to potentially needing his services. it doesn't send the right message. But United started off very brightly, more so when Mbeumo made a lovely run behind from a Sesko flick. Sanchez went off and continued to prove that Chelsea are not a side to be taken seriously as long as he sits between the sticks. It's just a brain-dead move from him, isn't it? Mere minutes into the start of the game, Maresca has to make 2 subs, and the gears were really turning because every game plan that he may have had was just out the window by this point. Which is why, and I really hate to be this guy, but everything that I have to say about United in this game, you have to take it with a slight grain of salt because of how early on Chelsea were disadvantaged. Cole Palmer was carrying an injury and taken off 20 minutes into the game. But now that we have that out of the way, and I've just said it, great performance by this team in the first 45 minutes. They were moving the ball really well. They were going from side to side. That first goal was a fantastic example of it. They just switched the ball, taking advantage of that numerical advantage that they had. Ahmad with the ball straight to Mazraoui. Mazraoui into the box, a great head down by Dorgu, and Fernandes just finishes it off. What do we always say? Somehow balls are just always attracted to Casemiro's head. Pause. He gets the second goal, and then in typical Casemiro fashion, turns from hero to zero. I just don't understand why he made this challenge to get his second yellow card. His man isn't going anywhere. I mean, listen, it is soft, but it is a yellow card. But is it a second yellow card? I don't know. I'm not sure. I am biased, of course, but I don't know. It's soft. The world hands United a lifeline, and they do what they do best and say, no thank you. And this is where we get the typical United coming out for the rest of the game. Despite all the positives, they squandered so many opportunities to really bury this game. It should have been at least 4-0 by halftime because of all the chances that were had, but all the brain-dead decisions that were made in the final third. But overall, despite conceding a Chalobah goal right towards the end, they held on, and it was a 2-1 win. But it was nervy. I mean, after that Chalobah goal, if anything happened, I was on the verge of doing something crazy. Like, I don't know, making an angry tweet or something. I don't know. I wouldn't have done anything. I would have been just a little bit upset and then played some video games afterwards. I don't know, whatever. De Ligt was a monster in defense. Mazraoui was lovely. He created both goals, actually. Dorgu was great. Obviously not the best decision maker just yet, but the man's athletic and he'll go far. Like I said, Chelsea can't be taken seriously as long as they have Robert Sanchez in between the sticks. And moreover, their centre-back pairing isn't the best at all. I remember last season when they were on that really good streak, it was Fofana and Colwell, right, as their defensive pairing, and they looked extremely solid. I thought that was what we're going to see for the next, 5 years at Chelsea, minimum. And then injuries seem to have just completely ravaged that lineup. Now they're kind of back to square one because I don't see them going far at all with this pairing, especially against the stronger teams. They can't do it against Man United, of all teams. So it's not looking great for them from a long-term perspective, but they are an improving team. I was hoping, well, not hoping, oh, God forbid, I was of the belief that they would probably put up a title challenge this season. And after this performance and seeing what happens when things don't go according to plan, I'm not entirely sure anymore. And now just a couple words on Liverpool and the Merseyside derby just to wrap this one up. I didn't actually watch this game. I only saw the last 10 minutes or so on my phone because I was at the shops at the time. The way the game was going was Everton they looked like they could have easily gotten an equalizer towards the end, but Liverpool just have plot armor right now, so it's not going to happen. There was a yellow card that was given for a quickly taken free kick by Everton as they were chasing the game, which I thought was odd. Obviously not saying that Liverpool would have drawn the game or anything would have happened had that free kick been allowed to be taken. Just an interesting observation. The point is that Liverpool are not at their best at all yet, but they're still picking up points. They still have a 100% record across all competitions. I guess this was the first game that they've won without a late goal that's come in and rescued them and gotten those 3 points, whether it's in the league or the Champions League. It's remarkable. It's the stuff that champions do. And believe you me, they will pick up in form at some point this season. And when they do, and when things really start to click, when Florian Wirtz starts to score, by the way, he's been magnificent. And I'm seeing a lot of people talking about how he's already flopped or how he hasn't lived up to expectations. Watch the game, bro. Watch his movements. Watch the way he dictates play. Watch the way he carries the ball. He's sensational. And once he starts converting that into goals, it's going to be a wrap for everyone. So I didn't do a predictions video. I don't do that sort of stuff. You guys know this because I'm always wrong and I I'd rather not have it be on the internet. Maybe I'll do it in the future, but who knows? Liverpool are going to win the league. Not much can convince me of otherwise. Every other team that could really rival them has too many flaws. Liverpool have flaws, but they're still winning. It is what it is. Anyway, there we have it. If you guys enjoyed this video, please feel free to subscribe, give us a like, check out the Spotify, check out the Apple podcasts, new podcasts coming out every week. I'm trying to do that at the very least, some really nice long form stuff. That is all for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're having a great day. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.